Hello and welcome to the final edition of the Paris High School Quarterback Club Coaches Show. I'm Jamie Varnell. I'll be your host this evening, and we want to thank you. There's been many of you that have been faithful all season following us along on our initial endeavor with this show. We appreciate it, and for sharing it and getting the word out. This will be our final episode of the year. Head coach Tyler Clark will be joining us in a few minutes, discussing not only the breakdown of the final game, but we're going to talk a little bit about this senior class and how special they were to the program. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how the season kind of rounded into form. We'll have some numbers for you that I'm sure many of you would like to hear and kind of be able to compare maybe some things from the past to this year. And so we hope that you'll join us over the next few minutes as we bring you the Paris High School Quarterback Club Coaching Show. All right, well, head coach Tyler Clark is with us, and coach, our season's over. We got a lot to reflect on. Before we do, you had one final game this week, and when we talked in the preseason and even with some of the local stuff, I have to put in my projections and do a little bit of analysis. I've learned not to lean so much on some of the statewide publications, and I had Mansfield picked to be a contender for the title in the conference this year. I felt like they had the talent on offense to do that. A couple of playmakers on the outside, a senior quarterback and they said they wanted to throw it around a lot. So I thought, pretty good team.
Yeah.
I think you guys played your best game last Friday night. I felt like it was a really good effort. The things that you can kind of evaluate, especially in the last game of the season. Coach, we were talking about it off the air, that you guys held them defensively. You held them below their scoring average, and you scored above the average that's been scored on them this year. Those are two things that are usually a really good indicator, not just of growth or anything, but really how well you played on Friday night.
Absolutely. I thought they played really well, and it started on Monday. We lost to Greenland, and that put us out of the playoffs for sure. So Monday after we watched film, I kind of sat the kids down and said, hey, I know it's not what we want and it's not what we worked for, but there's two things to gain out of this week. And number one is we're fixing to find out who's bought into this program or not. You're either bought in or you're just here for the good times, because there was nothing to play for Friday night. And then the second thing we talked about was, sending our seniors out in the right way and doing our best and busting our tail for them in practice, as well as on Friday night, because those guys deserve that.
I think Mansfield was really caught off guard by that fast start. We've talked about it, been a slow starting team most of the year, not so Friday night.
Yeah, well, all week we really looked and we thought that they have some really good skill players. Their receivers really good. They've actually got three really good receivers. Their quarterback was very good, solid running back. We thought we could take advantage of them up front. We thought there were some weaknesses there. So we came into the night wanting to pound the football. Not to mention a guy who was the best player on our team this year is a senior running back, Blaze Woods. So kind of a thank you to him. We wanted to hand him the ball a lot. And
I believe he did 27 times, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he had 27 carries for, I think it was 173, 174. So really, really big night for him, and it was great to see him have a big night. He deserved it.
Best rushing output of the year, 303.
Yeah,
that's a big number, Coach. It doesn't matter who you're playing. 303 yards on the ground. You got to like the chances.
Yeah, it was a big night, and a lot of credit goes to our offensive line. We've kind of been a group that's all year we've just kind of been slowly, getting closer and closer and getting a little bit better each game, and then we take a step back, and so it was really nice to see our offensive line play as a unit and move people around and create some good gaps. I mean, as an offensive line guy deep down, there's nothing better than seeing the opposing team's defensive line lay it on the ground after a play, just saying, please, no more. That's what you want, and that's what we're shooting for. So I was really happy with the performance from our offensive line Friday night.
Yeah, it was really, the offensive line play was fantastic. At one point, one of your little guys, and I don't know which one it was in the rotation, put their big defensive tackle on his backside. And we're talking
Daniel Heiss.
Okay, so Daniel Heiss comes out, and the kid had to have outweighed him by 75 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about those three big guys moving people around. You get a mean streak in those guys. They really did move it. Conditions played a little bit of a factor in. I know we were talking about this before. It wasn't as much necessarily what dictated the play calling, but for the conditions, your guys really stepped up.
Yeah.
That I don't know if you can tell from the film, if you can tell from the stands, that turf was pretty soggy.
Yeah, it was cold and it was wet. But you know what? It's one of those deals you gotta love it. You gotta love it, man. It's football weather, and we're not. We talk a lot about worrying about the things we can control and not letting other factors affect us. We can't control how wet or dry the field is, and we can't control the temperature. So whether it's 15 degrees and soaking wet, or 100 degrees and dry as a bone, we're fixing to come get it.
Yeah, cars were frosted over when the game was over. My camera bag, I even took a picture of my camera bag because it would just had a sheet of ice over the top of it. Our game camera, actually, the sensors in it shut it down for about the last 3 or 4 plays. So let's talk about the offense, Coach. I know that the passing numbers, weren't there, but I really believe you could have almost run it all night and done what you wanted to there.
Yeah, we probably. We ran the ball as well as we could have, and our passing. We actually, I thought our quarterback and receivers did a really good job. Passing numbers weren't as high because I think we only had, I want to say maybe 17 attempts. It may have been 12. I don't know. It was
a low number.
It was not a normal number of attempts for us. And we had a couple mistakes that we made early, but throwing the football, we kind of had to pick and choose our spots because they were very good in the back end. But we thought all week we would have an advantage running the football, our O-line versus their D-line. And early on, that proved to be true. We had Blaze broke about a 70-yard run, and then the next drive, Eli Ford breaks another 70-yard run. So, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely.
If we're getting yards, we're going to keep pounding.
So before we get into those big runs, let's talk about that opening touchdown. You got one of your seniors, and we've talked about this last year. I don't know if he can get that ball might have stuck in his face mask before his hands got a hold of it. This year, Luke Trusty, his hands, he caught a lot of balls that I didn't even think were catchable. The development on the receiving end, incredible job.
Yeah, it's a huge credit to Luke, and I just had the conversation with our kids today because we started off season today that hey, if you will show up and attack the day and attack the weight room, attack our drills every day this entire off season, there's going to be a world of difference in your improvement next summer. And Luke Trusty's a guy that even though he played basketball last year, he still came in and got his lifts. He worked on footwork. He worked on catching the football. And now he gets to enjoy the benefits of that. He's gotten a lot better, and I was really happy to see Luke get a touchdown. It was his only one of the year, and possibly his career. I don't know, but I was really happy to see that because again.
So what was that play, Coach? Break it down for us.
Well, basically all it is it's a goal line play that a lot of people have in. It's just kind of your Y throwback is what we call it. So basically we're going to get into a tray set where we've got a tight end and 2 receivers attached, and we're going to run outside zone. Everyone's going to run outside zone. And we've got Blaze running the ball there or Eli. I think it was Blaze was in at the time, but we're running outside zone. And so we're, flow from the defense is coming in the direction of the outside zone. And Luke is right over here at Y. And his job is to step up to the Mike backer and pretend like he's going to block you and let that guy think that he's beating you. Kind of rip under him and then run to the back pylon. And we teach our quarterback we want to ride the mesh for as long as we can until it feels like we've rode for a little too long even. Then we want to plant our foot as quick as we can, and we want to put it on the back pylon. And most of the time, unless the defense has a kid just being lazy over there, it's going to be wide open. We ran it, and I thought we had the look that it was going to be successful. You can't run it every time on the goal line. You have to have the correct look for it. But the way they lined up, I said, heck, let's give it a shot, and it ended up working out. So I was really happy.
Yeah, it was a great catch. Well, you could see, I believe it's the outside linebacker on the other side, just turns his back completely to Watts and takes off because he knows he's beat, and it was wide open. So, Coach, there was a picture taken right after that score. Amy Trusty snapped it from the stands, and it was just one of those coincidence things. But my goodness, that was one of the coolest things we've seen in a while. The smoke looked just like an eagle, soared right over the field after that score. Well, Coach, we had like you said, a couple of big runs, and we saw Blaze get down there and set some things up. Eli Ford's run is something we've not seen from him, and that was he not only got to the edge, but when he got to the edge, he put a guy on the ground with a stiff arm and kept going.
Yeah, Eli is a special talent, and one of these days he's going to realize that and gain a little bit of confidence within himself. And when he does, it's going to be bad news. I hope it happens before he graduates high school. But yeah, Eli did a heck of a job for us, and he's a kid that he's growing and getting stronger and better. He doesn't even realize. We started out off season today, like I said, we maxed today. He got 20 more pounds on his max today than he did last year to end the year. And we've been in the weight room during the season, but not like we are during the off season. So the sky's the limit for that kid. I'm really excited for his development this offseason.
Yeah. So one other thing we noticed, and we got to see work really well this week, I believe it's your Florida motion. You're bringing them across and run that jet sweep out of it a lot. But you got some inside work off of that this week, and again caught them overreacting and a lot of space to the backside.
Yeah, I mean, really, with honestly the majority of our play calls, really all we're trying to do is put somebody in conflict. You have one of the faster kids in the conference running outside zone this way, and then we've got a big running back here who's running counter the other way. And it makes it tough. And, there are a lot of things. It's honestly, our offense is not that complex. There's not a ton of plays. It's a lot of window dressing and things that make it look complex to the defense. And so anytime you can get a linebacker or even a safety to kind of stand flat-footed because he's not sure what's going to happen yet, it really opens both of them up. And then we have reads that we have on it to where our quarterback will look at certain people, and that tells him whether he's going to hand off the outside zone or hand off the counter. But it's been a productive play for us this year.
So, we saw Blaze with all those carries. Did you notice a little bit of how they were tackling a little different by the second quarter? They were not running to contact. They were just trying to catch him because between the cold and the wet and that impact, it really made a difference.
Well, we tell our kids, and it's the honest truth. I mean, I can remember playing in the cold. It hurts a little bit more when you get hit in the cold. So here's the deal. You're either going to get hit and hurt 10 times worse, or you're going to hit them and make them hurt 10 times worse. It's your decision, and I thought our kids did a really good job of, inflicting a little bit of pain.
Well, let's talk about on the defensive side of the ball. Your defensive line got after it. They put some pressure on him. Now, there wasn't the same ability to just go back there and tackle one of these scrawny quarterbacks that we've seen maybe from some others. This kid's big. Second time this year we've seen, a large, not necessarily mobile quarterback. Now, he did have a couple of runs, but
yeah, he's mobile enough.
Yeah, he's mobile to do enough what he needs to do because it's hard to bring him down. But if he's the same weight as the average quarterback in the conference, he doesn't get some of those opportunities. But a kid that has a lot of experience back there. The defensive line did good. One thing I noticed, and we've talked about this before, the development of Caleb Varnell. And the outside linebacker. I've got a million pictures of him, Coach, where he's this close to making a play. But usually when you get that close to making a play, somebody else is going to get it.
Right. Yeah, and Caleb, man, I'm really excited for what Caleb's going to bring to the table next year and the year after. He's just a sophomore. He got worlds better this year. Even towards the end of junior high, and he knows this. Towards the end of the junior high season 2 years ago, we're sitting there like, man, when are we going to figure it out type deal? And it's like something has clicked, and he's playing really well. We're excited. Coach Vickers has done a really good job with him and kind of coaching him up and getting him confident. So we're really excited for Caleb, man. He does really well. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of kids on our football team that are about this far away from being pretty good. And hopefully we can get that much out of them this offseason and have a big year.
Right. Secondary played well. Some of your other linebackers in the rotation with Jude Simmons and I'm trying to think of who else is in your rotation in there.
Skylar.
Skylar was solid.
Skylar's a big player for us. He does a really good job of the middle. You've got Skylar. Nate Henderson is another one that does an outstanding job for us, who's just a sophomore, undersized, but he's fixing to come get you. So
I more than once this year we would hear either the opposing chain gang or one of the officials say, and I don't know who that kid is, but I like it.
Yeah.
We saw that over and over. And not only that, they got up, knocked some passes down, so they really limited the passing attack that we saw tear apart a lot of teams this year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was a very, very that was the most explosive offense we've seen all year, or it had the ability to be, I should say. Mansfield's a good football team. Their quarterback was the best in the conference, and I think they had two of the best receivers in the conference. Really, really good football team. It was unfortunate to lose, but I was very proud of our effort. And I'll be honest with you, I think you can draw a few parallels between where we're at in our program and where Mansfield was about 2 years ago.
Yes.
So
we watched him hobble down the field as a sophomore, and a banged-up sophomore at that, and almost lead his team back 2 years ago. So, Coach, if they didn't track the score, got up by 2 scores early and had a chance at 3, being up 3 scores. They answer back, and a couple of plays that kind of turned things around. We had an interception again down near the goal line.
Yeah.
And just a little miscommunication, But the other thing, was the kickoff return.
That was the tough one.
That was, but we know that kid's good, and it's not something new for that kid to run a score back.
Yeah, we had told them all week, whether it's punting or kicking off, do not kick it to one. I was telling Blaze, I don't know if anyone noticed, he was punting for us. Like, I don't care if it goes 10 yards on your punt, just kick it out of bounds, man. We can't kick it to one. It seems like he's returned one on just about everybody this year. We go up 28-14 with about 3 minutes left in the half, and momentum is 100% on our side. Everything looks really, really good for us. We make a little bit of a mistake and kick it to him, and he takes it to the house. And it was a rough point because I don't know if other people could feel it or if it's the team or the coaches or what, but you can certainly you can tell when momentum is beginning to change, and that was the beginning of it. And man, once it starts to shift one way, it's really hard to stop it.
Right.
So
we still took a lead into halftime.
We did. We took a 1-point lead.
I had somebody the next day ask me. They said, "Man, was there a lot of points scored?" I said, "Yeah, it was 28-27 at half."
Yeah.
And they're like, "We heard the cannon all over town. Everywhere we go, we can keep hearing the cannon going off." Yeah. And and that's a really big thing because they're only hearing the cannon when we're scoring there. So in the second half, moved the ball a lot, couldn't get it in the end zone. 2 things I really want to address there. Right there at the end when you're down there and time's running out. What was the plan there? You had, I think, 4th and 2 or something like that.
Yeah, we had 4th and 2, and again, we had been getting chunk yards running the football. Now, of course, when you get down towards the goal line, defenses are going to tighten up a little bit. But I'm going to tell you, we ran the ball I think about 17 to 18 times in a row at one point during the game. They were tightened up at the 50-yard line trying to stop the run, and we were still gashing them. Yeah. So. Our thought process was down there. We didn't want to throw the football. Keller was banged up. Blake Martinez. He's hard to find in the end zone because it's such a confined area and he's a small guy. So we thought, hey, we're going to go with our bread and butter. What's got us here? We're going to run power and see if we can't get it done. And to be honest, I don't know if we got it done or not. I don't know.
We couldn't get a measurement right there. It was really, really, really close. And in the end, Coach, I mean that's really a window dressing score. The one thing it did do is change up a little bit of the playoff seeding that allowed Mansfield to move up. Charleston will go in to the playoffs as a 5 seed of the conference. And I'll tell you a little bit of something about our conference. Yeah. I know that Charleston wasn't expected to contend this year, but you've got a May coach team at Charleston that's going in as a 5 seed.
And could have been a 2 seed.
Yeah.
If things went right. I mean, that's how crazy the conference was. You could have been a 2 all the way down to a 5.
They dropped some close ones. And so, Coach, it was a hard fought game. You're also fighting against somebody that wants to try to get there about 13 points. They're trying to get their 13 points. It's a big deal to them. But in the second half, it was just a slip ball here or there, a missed tackle here or there, and that was really the difference in the ball game. If you weren't there, it was extremely close. It was a hard fought game, and I guarantee you, Mansfield is still feeling it this week.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know that they were hurting, which that's always kind of one of our team goals. Not in a negative way. We don't ever want to hurt kids, but that's part of the sport of football.
Absolutely.
Being able to play through pain, and I think we did a really good job of that. We could tell some of their kids were hurting a little bit towards the end of the ball game there, and just like I talked about earlier with momentum, they return the kick. We go 3 and out. They go down and score and make it a 1-point game before half. So momentum is completely on their side now. And second half, we couldn't do anything to get it back into our favor, and that ended up being what got us.
Well, Coach, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about a senior class, and then we're going to take a little bit of a look at the year in review. So stay right there with us. We'll be right back.
I just want to say thank you to my family and coaches for pushing me through.
I'd like to thank the coaches, all the fans that come out and support us, especially like Boys and Girls Club. They was all there. And then anybody else around, they just came and watched. I like it.
I'd like to say thank you to my parents and for my coaches for allowing me to play and put the time in to help me be the best that I can.
This is Luke Trusty, senior this year, football team. I'd like to thank my coaching staff, the guys that kept stats on the sideline this year, and my family. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to all the fans that always came out and supported us. Definitely the student section. It was always great turnout at every home game. The coaches for always believing in us and pushing us to go harder. The booster clubs, definitely. We couldn't have done half the stuff we did in the season without them. And finally, just thank you to my teammates for always believing in me, always picking me up when I was down. And, good luck to y'all underclassmen next year. Juniors definitely not winning. Thank y'all.
To our senior football players, thank you. You guys played your hearts out for Paris, and people are going to be talking about you guys for a long time. You made a huge impact on our underclassmen, and I'm going to miss the heck out of coaching you guys, and I hope you come back and see us anytime you can. To everyone in the community that's been a part of Paris football, and there's a lot of different ways to do that, thank you. Whether it's just coming and watching, whether it's helping with the boys, doing anything like that at all, watching this show, thank you for your support. The more support that we can get in this town and the more people that rally around our kids, the more success we're going to have. I cannot tell you enough how much our kids appreciate your support, and our coaching staff certainly does as well. I hope everyone knows that our office doors and cell phones are always on. Anytime you guys need something, please let us know. Thank you.
Well, Coach, Friday night, I'm sure that I know I fielded a few questions about it. You probably have as well. We had a player that got injured, and I just wanted to let you address that real quick. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing a lot better. We got him to the hospital, got everything taken care of. He's at school. He's in good shape, and it's one of those deals. You have to tackle with correct form. It is something that we teach, and that kid will be the first to tell you it's on him. We've got to keep our head up when we tackle, and I want to take this time to just address and tell everybody. It was an injury that occurred while playing football. That same injury can occur in any other sport. It can occur driving a vehicle. It can occur walking down the stairs. It can occur doing a lot of things. There are a lot of positives about football, and that kid's ripping and roaring. He's ready to come back. Even and I said, we better pump the brakes a little. But
Absolutely.
It's one of those things. It's just anything could happen at any time. We're in our second year in a row without a concussion this year, so that's a positive. But we're definitely wishing that young man a quick recovery.
Yeah, Coach, I've covered a lot of soccer over the years and coached some Soccer, I believe, is now the number one sport for concussions in the U.S.
It is.
And so, a lot of misconceptions out there, but I know that, anytime you have an injury, number one, did a great job with the crew there, and everybody got everything taken care of. But also just want to let everybody know, he's already back at school.
He's in good shape.
And everything was handled well. Coach, you got a very special group of seniors.
Mm-hmm.
The development and maturity of this team, I think, is a direct reflection of this group. It's a small group.
It is.
And we got to see a few different things, homecomings and senior nights through the year. This group is probably the smallest group of seniors in the conference. Maybe one team has less. And so that when you have a small group like that, their impact on the overall product, it's something special.
It is. And, probably my favorite thing about this group of seniors is that they're all just really good kids. Some are better football players than others, but at the end of the day, they're really good kids. And I can genuinely tell you, all 6 of those seniors are going to be successful in life. And I told them after the game, they're gonna go off to college or trade school, whatever it may be. They're going to graduate. They're eventually going to get married and become husbands and daddies and all that stuff, and they're all going to be very successful. And I told them I would like to think that a real small part of that was because they were a part of this program. They gave a lot to Paris football, and they did a really good job of kind of maintaining the standard that we had set the year before. This is how we're going to work. This is how we're going to be every day. This is the expectation. It's your job to live up to it. They were really good about helping sophomores along and even some of our juniors along and getting those kids right. So, huge debt is owed to that senior class.
Yeah, Coach. Well, this group of athletes, they had a lot of different head coaches along the way.
They did.
And I think you have a special bond with them, and it's been evident as we've watched this year. They've definitely bought in to the program and to your style of leadership.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, when you have different head coaches, I'm sure a lot of people just discount it like, it doesn't really matter. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is I spend 4 hours a day with those kids. And I love every one of them to death. Seniors, sophomores, 8th graders, 7th graders. But when you have a change in philosophy and a change in a coaching style, it's tough for kids because you're not going to get the most out of a kid unless they know deep down that you care about them. And that's I'm real big into that. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to get after somebody when they make a mistake. That doesn't mean I'm not going to coach them hard. But at the same time, after I'm done doing that, I'm going to put my arm around them and tell them I love them. And that's something that I think last year our seniors and this senior class that were juniors then were kind of like, well, he seems like he cares, but we don't really know. It just takes time to build that level of trust, and I still don't even know that we're all the way there, but we're pretty close. And I'm going to miss these kids. They were a good group.
Well, I can tell you a group that is bought in, Coach, and that's the class of 2024 and 2025. We got some boys club athletes, and you've got time to spend a little bit with them. They were there Friday night.
They were.
It's special. We got to see a little bit. They've been in the playoffs, but that's a special thing. And seeing that in our community with a head coach spending time, I can guarantee you go around the conference and the teams that are reproducing year after year, their coaches are out there with those young programs. So we're going to come back here in just a minute, and Coach, you've got some numbers to share with us. You've been crunching them, and you've been kind of chomping at the bit a little bit, I think, to share some of this. So we'll be right back, and we're going to take a look at the year-end review. back, and we've got some season numbers and a little bit to compare with from last year. And I know that's a real marker for a program coach, is that you can see growth from year to year, and it's a development process. We know you're not going to turn things around. I think if you ask most people, they felt like the over-under on this team this year was 3 or 4 wins, and that wasn't a slight to them. But you're coming off of an 0-10 season, and you're playing a lot of young guys. There's a lot of things, but I'm sure there were some that probably thought 3 was way too high, and so because they weren't there to see all the progress and the things getting done behind the scenes. So I think the big thing people are going to ask about, number one, is your passing totals. You're throwing the ball even more this year. What did your yardage look like last year to this year?
Well, last year we threw for 605 yards, which we had out of 159 attempts throwing the football, we threw for 605 yards, which is not great. And that's I want to be clear in saying that's not a slight or a shot at anyone that was on the 2018 team.
No, it's two different teams.
It's 2 different teams, and we had a group of kids that were wing tee kids, and I said, we're going to run a spread, and there was a year of transition there, but it's always good to see improvement. So we threw for 605 in 2018. Here in 2019, we threw for 1,441. So we more than doubled our passing yardage. We also doubled our completion percentage, which is always a good thing to see. And we reduced our interceptions quite a bit as well. We threw 18 last year and had 13 this year, which that's still not where you want to be. That's not the goal, but it is improvement, and that's overall that's what we're after.
Absolutely, and so we're still talking about a 30% drop in there, and so the numbers are getting in the right direction. Touchdowns.
Yeah, touchdowns last year we had 12 total touchdowns.
So that's passing and running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's not counting any defensive touchdowns or special teams touchdowns. Just strictly offensive scores. We had 12 last year, which is not real high.
No, not in 10 games.
No, that's not very good.
That's a tough one.
This year we had 25. Which to be honest with you is still not where we want to be, but it is much better.
Much better.
We've doubled that. So.
And you put one on the board against everybody, I believe, this year. Is that correct?
Minus Clarksville.
That's right. Yeah, Clarksville, we never did.
Which I have no shame in that. Those guys were.
They were big and fast.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
They were a true 5A program there, and we saw them have a few big wins this year. So rushing the ball, was there an increase? Because I know you rushed it even more last year, it seemed like. But did you have some gains there in the rushing game?
Partially. I mean, the percentages are better. We ran the ball about 20 times less this year as opposed to last year, and we only ran for a little bit less. Last year we ran for 1,156. This year we ran for 1,117.
Yeah, very very small.
Yeah, and that's those numbers have to change. And I tell anyone that'll listen, I understand we run the spread offense, and I understand sometimes we get in 4-by-1 or 3-by-2 formations. But at the end of the day, the objective is to run the football. The whole thing is with the spread offense, now I can take advantage when you start loading the box.
Yeah.
So we've still got to put an emphasis on our offensive line and running the football. And then also we've got to get better at making people pay with the things that they leave open by defending the run.
Right. And so how many of those touchdowns were rushing this year?
16.
16. So that's significant.
Yeah, we had 7 last year, 16 this year, so we doubled that.
More than doubled, yeah. And again, Coach, I know I mentioned this a minute ago, and people can say what they want to as a broken play or whatever, but putting the ball in the end zone against Boonville and these other teams that we saw throw a whole lot of shutouts.
Well, hey man, broken plays count too.
Absolutely, they do. They're broken for a reason.
Yeah, man. It's would we have liked to drove the ball down and scored? Absolutely, but I would be foolish to not use a really, really fast kid and a quarterback with a good arm. So, hey,
And the second time it happens, they can't say we haven't seen that before because it was the same kid, I think, both times.
Yeah, it was good stuff all around. I thought the team chemistry just continued to get better week after week, and I think that's something that we're not going to see necessarily stop just because football's over.
Right.
I think that through off season that's going to continue to happen, and man, I took the weekend to kind of reflect and pout a little bit, but man, I'm fired up for next year now.
Yeah, Coach. It's a pretty optimistic view from where we're at. It's going to be a change next year, drastic change, and we're seeing. I talked to one of the television stations the other day, and he was talking about just how many teams in this area. Like they're not going to be able to have eyes on all the playoff teams just in our area this year. That's how good the football is right here in Western Arkansas. But even this conference is one of them. All those teams are just right here, close to home. We don't really have any outliers. They're all right here. But next year we're going to be moving east a little bit, and so that Perryville game that'll be a conference game next year.
Yeah, week 8, I believe. Week 8, I think, is when that game is at Perryville again.
Well, good, because we heard that they had a that little radio show that's on during the time you drive your car in the afternoon. When Randy and Rick were talking, they were down there and they went to Perryville, and Perryville said, yeah, we'd like to have another shot. Well, they're going to get it, and they're going to get it at week 8, so they can't say any week 1 excuses next year. I'm looking forward to that one a whole lot. Some other conference games that are going to come in. Two Rivers will be in there. Atkins will be, for those of you that have been around here a long time, that used to be kind of a regular game around here. It was an Atkins game. And I can tell you, when I played ball, I saw the backside of a Bobo running all the time. Yeah. Those guys are fast. I don't know if they've got any more of the family up there right now, but some great athletes there. Mayflower and Baptist Prep, which is, they hang their hat on basketball. But, with those metropolitan schools, Mayflower, they can have a move in from one of those big schools around them, and it might help them out a lot. But you just never know. But, it certainly looks more favorable than where we're at this year in the conference we're playing in.
It looks to be more favorable, and I think that there are parts of it that will be. Perryville's a team that they're going to be much improved. They're practicing this week. They're in the playoffs, so that's going to be a heck of a ball game. Their coach does a good job over there. There's I think there are maybe a few games that are a little bit easier in conference than what we have this year, but there's also Boonville still goes into the new conference with us, so that's going to be a tough game. Danville will be much improved.
Familiar face there.
Yeah. So we're still going to have to show up and play every week. And honestly, the conference that we're leading, when you take out Lamar and Boonville, it ain't that tough anymore either.
Right. It's going to change a whole lot.
You take away Lamar, Boonville, and a Paris team that's up and coming, and you add Lincoln, Lavaca, and Hackett. So I wouldn't mind staying this one.
Yeah. I think the landscape, and we're just seeing a lot of that is changing, especially in 3A. And I get a couple of questions all the time. One of them is, is Paris going to move up or down? Last I looked, Coach, we were almost dead center when it comes to the 3A.
Yeah, I don't think
right in the middle.
We're not in any danger of moving down to 2A or up to 4A.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. It would take a whole lot of movement one way or the other from other people for us to move. I think we're pretty secure there. The other thing, people keep looking forward to. What's your preseason games next year? What are you going to open up with?
Well, we still got to get some contracts worked out and be sure, cross the T's and dot the I's. But the plan, which very well may change, but the plan is still to scrimmage Subiaco for the benefit game,
which you can count on rain. It's probably going to be a torrential downpour.
Yeah.
Even if we move the game to a third location.
I don't know. I hope that it's not, but most likely it will be at their place. But again, we've still got to get some things worked out with that. And then we're going to open up with Lavaca and Johnson County West Side at home, which, those will be big games for us because Lavaca has a junior high team that I'm hearing went undefeated this year, so they're going to have some good ball players. I think that'll be a fair, a challenging game. And then Johnson County West Side, who again, hey, I haven't looked at their records or seen how well they did this year, but let's not forget 2 years ago we were an 0-10 team, so we're not really in a place in our program right now where we can overlook anybody. So those are two really important games for us, and then our third non-conference playing day we'll go on the road to West Fork.
Okay, so another familiar face for you, and one that now we've become acquainted with through conference play. And so, those are tentative. But it kind of does help you to kind of prep. Of course, this year coming in, it was a little bit of, man, we got to play. We get to play a 3A, but then we've also got to play a 4A and a 5A.
Yeah, we played a really solid 3A team, a 5A team. Yeah, a 5A team that was not great in the 5A, but by far the best year they've had in a long time.
Yeah, they were big and strong.
Yeah, and then a Waldron team that was not real hot, but we beat them. So
yeah, they won some games in their conference. So. So in fact, they were the first team out, I believe, in their conference.
Really?
Yeah, they were the first team out.
Wow.
I was looking at that the other day. The way they were tied, I believe, with maybe Dover, but they did. They won a few there. So, looking forward to next year. We're going to get to see a new class come in, and we've got a lot of young faces. I know the junior high program. It's hard to gauge just how good they're going to transition because you've got a 2-year group versus a 3-year group, and it really matters how they mesh and fill the gaps in when you got those 3 years together.
Absolutely. And our 9th grade group, our 9th grade and our 8th grade group really have chances to be good groups. We've just got, probably our biggest issue right now is we've got too many kids that they're not playing football and they need to be.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line to it. There's some really good athletes in the 9th grade, and not all of them are playing football.
I'd love to have them out there, though.
Yeah, there's some really good athletes in the 8th grade, and some of them are not playing football. So until we can get, which I believe the 9th grade class, and these numbers are going to be close to right, but not exact by any means. I want to say, maybe something like 70 kids in the grade, and almost 50 of them are girls. It's hard to.
So if you don't get a prom date, there's a problem. But but we need you out for football.
Yeah, when you got 20 boys and 9 of them are hooping it up year round, it makes it tough on you, man. So,
Right.
so really excited about the 9th graders that we do have in our program, though, and I think you're only going to see them get better.
Absolutely, and of course now we have that giant sophomore class going to move up and be juniors. You got a big chunk of that offensive line coming back, so I think that's going to be really key. You're going to lose Ethan Needham and some leadership off of there.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
But you're going to return 4 of the 5, and that'll be something solid to look forward to. Well, Coach, it has been a great year, and I appreciate your patience as we've kind of learned this on the fly a little bit and tried to fix things. And we've had some shows that we looked at the screen when it was done. I'm like, guys, I can't fix it, but we know not to do this next time. But we've learned a lot, and we've already been making plans for next year and how we want to do things. But we would love to have you come out and join the quarterback club. If we're able to do what we're looking at for next year, the quarterback club is going to be a fun place to be on Monday night. And you never know, you might wind up on camera. And we're looking at making some changes with how we do our filming and some different things as we plan the coaches show going forward. But I thank you guys for sticking with us. Coach, thanks for a great year.
You bet.
And thank you for coming out to the studio here each and every week. We've enjoyed it. So until we can get with you next year for the Paris High School Quarterback Club Coaches Show, I'm Jamie Varnell. This is head coach Tyler Clark signing off for the season. We'll see you in 2020.